News this morning on the Robert F. Kennedy campaign. A super PAC supporting him says they've gathered enough signatures to get him on the ballot in two pivotal battleground states, Arizona and Georgia. Those signatures still need to be validated and could face court challenges, but so far he's only confirmed to be on the ballot in one state, Utah. My next guest is another third-party candidate trying to get on as many ballots as he can. Professor Cornel West joins me now. Thank you so much for being here. Sir, I want to start with Michigan, which is voting today. Some Democrats who are frustrated with President Biden's response to the Israel-Gaza war, they're urging residents to vote uncommitted, effectively against the president. Now, yesterday he announced progress in a deal for a temporary ceasefire in exchange for a hostage release. Should that help, never mind what it means for the region, which is the most important, but just on the raw politics of it, should that help the president politically?
Well, we shall see, but I mean, part of the problem is we can't reduce what's going on in Gaza to some kind of electoral political strategy. I mean, we've seen the example of our dear brother Aaron Bushnell. When he set himself on fire and killed himself, what was he saying? These are moral issues and moral causes. These are not just brands and strategies and tactics. And as you know, Sister Dana, so much of American politics is about strategy and tactic. These are deeply moral and spiritual issues having to do with arbitrary power being used. And when I hear Sister Rashida say, well, Biden is not hearing us, no, Biden is enabling the killing of us. That's what's taking place here. And so you can imagine it, my Arab brothers and sisters in Dearborn and other places are saying, we're not just pieces to be moved on a chessboard. These are our families. This is mama and daddy. This is grandmama and granddaddy. It reminds me in some ways of the rabbis who marched in the early 40s, led by the great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, and FDR wouldn't even come out of the White House. He sent Henry Wallace, and those rabbis were sitting there saying, look, massacres are taking place, war crimes are taking place, crimes against humanity, genocide is taking place. What did the White House do in the early 40s? Nothing at all, hardly. Why? Because it was an electoral-political issue. The Jewish vote didn't mean X. The Jewish vote didn't mean Y. These are human beings, and America is enabling the killing of them. So it is now in 2024. Where is the space for truth, justice, love in a moment of electoral politics and barbarity? That's the question.
Professor West, what about the other side of the argument? Not that there's any appropriate side to the killing of innocent civilians. We should just say that flatly. But when it comes to when it comes to war and retaliatory war, which is what this is, for lots of reasons, the biggest is what Hamas did, the terror attack inside of Israel, but also currently the hostages who are still there. Do you think that there is, first of all, on the hostages, but second of all, just on Hamas, do you believe in the idea of eradicating a terrorist group like Hamas, which did such barbaric things to innocent civilians?
Well, one, I mean, you and I know that a Jewish life has exactly the same value as a Palestinian life. A Palestinian baby has the same value as a Jewish baby. The question is, how do you get at the roots of it? Anytime you kill an innocent person, that is a crime against humanity. Did Hamas commit war crimes? Absolutely. Murder is murder. But at the same time, you and I also know that the root of what we're talking about here is an ugly occupation, is an embargo and siege, and then we can call for a ceasefire. So in calling for a ceasefire, it ought to be on the way to get at the roots of the problem, which is the ending of an occupation, so that you can then have forms of resistance that don't have to take the form of killing innocent people. Now, I believe in just war. Combatants can kill combatants. I'm not like Martin Luther King. I'm not a pacifist. But combatants must not kill civilians or innocent people, no matter who it is, IDF or Hamas. But the problem is, if you're going to call Hamas a terrorist group and the IDF is killing innocent people, they're terrorists too. If American soldiers kill innocent people, they're terrorists too. We have to be morally consistent in our language, in our deeds. And this is what I pull from Hebrew scripture. This is what I pull from following a Palestinian Jew named Jesus.
And the IDF argument, you heard Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday arguing wholeheartedly that the big difference is that Hamas went out and sought out civilians. What the IDF is doing is trying to get rid of Hamas, and the civilians are unfortunately getting killed in the crossfire. I'm not equating the two in terms of life as a life, but the argument is that Hamas sought out civilians and the IDF is not.
Well, I mean, the difference there would be historically over the last 75 years, we've got overwhelming evidence that the IDF has killed innocent people and is killing innocent children right now. And each one of those children are not a shield of a Hamas soldier. So that the language on the one hand goes in one direction, the action goes in another direction. But the crucial thing is we've got to keep the moral and spiritual issues at the center. And that's one of the problems with American politics these days. It's all about money. It's all about status and spectacle. What about the human beings who are suffering, be they mass incarcerated in ghettos or barrios or poor whites, or be they in Gaza, or be they frightened in other parts of the world?
Let's turn to make a hard turn now to politics, since you mentioned it. We're talking about you as a candidate. You're running as an independent candidate, independent of the parties you were talking about. You're currently on the ballot in 3 states, Alaska, Oregon, South Carolina. You told NBC News that your goal was to be on the ballot in 15 states by March. March starts Friday. Are you going to fall short of that goal? How close are you?
Oh, I said the Ides of March. It was the Ides of March. By mid-March, we should be on at least 15 states because we've got the low-hanging fruit. And March 1, you're absolutely right, allows us to move into the states. But I thank the Aurora Party in Alaska. I thank the Progressive Party in Oregon. I thank the United Citizens Party in South Carolina. And it's fascinating already because you imagine, Alaska in many ways is like the National Hockey League, not as opposed to the National Basketball Association. It's a vanilla place. They come strong. Oregon, similarly so. All-black party in South Carolina with my brothers, the Nellum brothers, there with the United Citizens Party. We are on the move. It is a multiracial, multi-gendered, multi-religious movement rooted in truth, justice, and love.
Are you going to get on the ballot in any of the crucial battleground states? Do you think you'll make it?
I think we will, though.
Which one?
My dear sister. We're going to surprise the world. We're going to shake up the world. Michigan, Arizona. We're going to try to get on the state in Texas and California. Well, California with the Peace and Freedom Party has already been very kind. I'm part of that nominating process. But we're shooting for the toughest ones, as you know, in New York and Texas and California. But I applaud Brother Kennedy getting on the ballot in Arizona. We still got more states than Brother RFK Jr., I'm telling you. And he's got the same views on Gaza as Biden does. My God. And he's supporting COINTELPRO and wiretapping Martin Luther King Jr. I say, come on, Brother Kennedy. What are you talking about here? We've got a chance to really show how our vision, our commitment to virtues, our commitment to values are distinct from not just RFK Jr., but also the two parties, Trump and Biden. 70% of our fellow citizens say they don't want Biden or Trump. My God, what an unprecedented moment for independent candidates.
Well, we will see. Hey, keep us posted and let us know when you get the signatures that you are seeking to get on those ballots, particularly those swing states like Michigan and Arizona. Thanks so much for coming on, Professor West. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Indeed, stay strong.